Buy Australian made, and you're backing local jobs, a stronger economy, in the way we live right here. Australian made right here.
Density and texture, forming crusts so hard they cut through paws and hooves. Snow
plows its way east. Governors in 16 states have declared states of
The
emergency.
winter storm, more than 200 million Americans are facing heavy snow, sleet, freezing rain, and
Hey, Di, good to see you.
Just min-
Di, I had a look at all them MK Ultra ones. They're not linked to YouTube, so I couldn't play any of them. I wanted to.
minutes ago, a chain of events unfolded across the United States that immediately drew global attention. A dangerous Arctic air mass surged across entire regions. Power grids failed, roads vanished under heavy snow, and temperatures plunged to life-threatening levels. At the same time, fire and water forced their way up from beneath the ground. The sky revealed unfamiliar lights, and the sea showed signs of silent instability. These were not isolated incidents. They arrived together, stacking and expanding. From land to ocean, from the depths below to the skies above, something is clearly shifting. Many are quietly praying, Lord, open our eyes and guide us in truth. And if you feel the same, leave prayer in the comments below, then like, subscribe, and join us as we uncover what is unfolding right now. A deadly Arctic air mass has descended over the Northeast and the Appalachian region, transforming winter into a full-scale survival crisis. Temperatures plunged far below seasonal norms within hours, leaving no time for gradual adjustment. The cold did not pass through as a typical system would. It settled, stalled, and locked entire regions in place, tightening its grip day after day.
I wonder if that fog kept it in place, Di.
Heavy snow buried highways, secondary roads, and residential streets under thick, compacted layers that refused to melt. Neighborhoods disappeared beneath white weight. Vehicles were abandoned where they stopped. Emergency routes became impassable. Ice-coated power lines and transmission towers until they snapped, cutting electricity and heat to thousands in sub-freezing conditions. Entire communities were left isolated, surrounded by snow and darkness, with no clear path out. Wind chills reached levels capable of causing frostbite within minutes. Skin exposed for even a short time suffered rapid damage. For the elderly, the homeless, and families without stable heating, the cold was not uncomfortable, it was lethal. Homes designed to shelter became traps when furnaces failed and backup systems froze. Shelters filled beyond capacity. Emergency warnings increased, but response slowed as conditions overwhelmed systems built for normal winters. Nature itself began to show signs of distress. Animals were found frozen in place.
Hey, bye, good to see you, mate.
Birds locked to branches, small mammals preserved in ice where they collapsed. Livestock perished in open fields, unable to escape the sudden freeze. In some areas, snow fell with unusual density and texture, forming crusts so hard they cut through paws and hooves. Snowdrifts emitted faint cracking sounds as temperatures dropped further, a sign of extreme structural stress within the frozen layers. Residents reported strange patterns etched into the snow, long rippling lines and sharp fractures forming overnight, without footprints or wind. In certain locations, snow accumulated vertically along walls and trees.
Look at that. I never thought about snow collecting on the roof like that, but that looks huge.
Typical drift behavior. The landscape no longer looked natural. It looked strained, compressed, and hostile. This winter no longer behaves like weather. It behaves like pressure. Infrastructure bends. Nature reacts. Human systems falter. What was once seasonal has crossed into something far more dangerous. As scripture warns, the earth mourns and withers. The inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men are left. Isaiah 24:4-6. The shift is unmistakable. Winter has moved beyond inconvenience, beyond disruption, and into direct confrontation with life itself. This is not a storm to endure. It is a condition to survive. While regions were still buried under snow and ice, a tornado suddenly formed near Cedar Creek Lake, appearing in conditions where tornadoes are rarely expected. Witnesses described a thin, slow-moving funnel descending from low clouds, stretching between sky and ground like a narrow column. There was no typical buildup of heat or spring instability. The air was cold. The landscape was quiet. Yet the rotation formed quickly and without warning. What unsettled observers most was not only the tornado itself, but what appeared inside it. Several recordings show faint, flickering lights moving within the funnel, brief flashes that did not resemble lightning. These lights appeared to pulse and shift as the vortex moved, visible even as the tornado remained narrow and controlled rather than violently erratic. Meteorologists explain the event as a rare cold weather tornado, formed by unstable air layers colliding under extreme conditions. But the presence of internal illumination raised further questions. Electrical discharge, atmospheric plasma, or light refraction were suggested, yet none fully explained why the lights appeared confined within the rotating column. The tornado caused localized damage, trees uprooted, roofs torn, power lines twisted, yet its behavior felt restrained.
I meant to give you a heart, die. Only the Christians get a heart, Bobo. Sorry, mate.
Almost deliberate, it lingered longer than expected, moved slower than normal, and then lifted back into the clouds as suddenly as it formed, leaving behind silence and unease rather than chaos. This event did not occur in isolation. It followed the deep freeze, the infrastructure strain, and the mounting pressure already gripping the region. The sky, like the ground before it, showed signs of instability, and this was only the beginning. As the atmosphere grew unstable and the ground above locked into ice, pressure below the surface began to release in violent and unexpected ways. On the volcanic slopes of Kilauea volcano, the earth opened abruptly. Lava did not creep or ooze as it often does. Instead, it shot straight upward in towering vertical fountains, brief, explosive bursts that tore through the air and vanished almost as quickly as they appeared. These eruptions were short-lived but intensely forceful, a clear sign of pressure rapidly escaping after long containment. Columns of molten rock rose hundreds of feet, illuminating the sky in harsh orange light before collapsing back into the crater. There was no slow buildup visible at the surface. The release came suddenly, as if the ground could no longer hold what had been accumulating beneath it. At nearly the same time, far from any volcano, cities began experiencing disturbances that felt eerily similar in nature. In California, muddy water erupted upward from streets and ground openings without warning. There was no heavy rainfall, no flooding upstream. Storm drains were not overwhelmed from above. Instead, water forced itself up from below, breaking through asphalt and pooling across roadways. Residents described hearing a low, hollow rumble beneath their feet moments before the surface split. Brown, sediment-filled water surged upward, carrying debris and emitting a strong, earthy odor. In some areas, pressure pushed manhole covers aside as if
Diane, we've got the Israel Prime Minister visiting Australia. Not Netanyahu, he must be the president. This guy's the Prime Minister, or the other way around. He's visiting Australia now, and there's two competing protesters, one for the Jews and one for the Palestinians. So I don't know how that's going to play out today, but it's gonna.
Lifted from underneath. Streets were not washed over, they were breached. Engineers and city officials searched for immediate explanations. Ruptured pipes, groundwater pressure, aging infrastructure. Yet inspections revealed no clear failure large enough to account for the volume and force observed. The timing only deepened concern. These eruptions from below followed days of extreme cold, frozen ground, and rapid atmospheric shifts, conditions that trap pressure underground and prevent gradual release. What connected these events was not location, but behavior. Fire surged vertically, water pushed upward. In both cases, pressure escaped suddenly after being held in place. What was contained beneath the surface refused to remain hidden. Throughout history, the Earth has shown this pattern. When stress accumulates without relief, release does not come gently. It comes in bursts. In Scripture, this moment is described with striking clarity. All the fountains of the great deep were broken up. Genesis 7:11. The language does not describe rain from above. but rupture from below sources long sealed suddenly giving way. The parallel is unsettling. Beneath frozen ground, beneath hardened crust, beneath systems assumed to be stable, forces continue to move. When those forces reach their limit, they do not negotiate, they break through. This is the deeper message carried by fire and water erupting from below. The surface can appear calm, frozen, even controlled. But pressure does not disappear simply because it is unseen. It accumulates. It seeks release. And when release comes, it ignores boundaries. Humans trust the most streets, foundations, and the ground itself. What happened reveals the same truth. Containment is temporary. Whether molten rock or buried water, what builds beneath the surface will eventually force its way out. Pressure does not dissolve, it waits. And when the ground itself begins to answer that pressure, the question is no longer if more will follow, but where.
Bobo, I was watching TV and I took my meds, and once I take my meds, I've only got like 20 minutes in me before I crash out, but I didn't prepare properly and I crashed out sitting up. So I come to about 2:30.
In a quiet moment far removed
And got up about 8:30 this morning. I could do with a couple of hours nip.
from storms and headlines, attention shifted indoors into a place of stillness and prayer. Inside a church in California, witnesses reported something they did not expect and could not easily explain. During a regular visit, several people noticed a subtle change in a statue of the Virgin Mary positioned near the altar. At first, it was
Same as you, Bobo, circle.
barely perceptible. Then, slowly, the eyes appeared to move. According to those present, the motion was not abrupt or dramatic. It was
Bobo, my addiction days had a lot to do with pills
gradual,
as well as heroin, but it had a lot to do with pills as well.
soft, restrained, and deeply unsettling. Some described the eyes as shifting downward. Others said they appeared to glisten, as if filling with tears. No mechanical movement was visible. No external trigger was identified. The church remained quiet. There were no alarms, no sudden reactions, just a growing sense that something intimate and solemn was unfolding. Phones were raised cautiously. Footage circulated shortly afterward, showing what viewers interpreted as slight movement in the statue's eyes, paired with reflections that looked unusually fluid. The expression on the statue's face appeared unchanged, yet many felt the emotion in the room shift. Some stood frozen, others knelt instinctively. A few quietly stepped outside, shaken but silent. Church officials urged calm and avoided immediate conclusions. Lighting conditions, camera angles, and natural reflections were suggested as possible explanations. Optical illusions are known to occur in enclosed spaces with candles, polished surfaces, and low ambient light. Yet questions persisted not because science offered no theories, but because timing and reaction felt unusual. This was not a staged moment. It was not announced. It emerged quietly, witnessed by ordinary people during an ordinary day. What stood out most was the response. There was no panic, no shouting. Instead, there was
Bobo, when I became Christian, I got attacked spiritually and I didn't realize what was happening. So I ended up in a psych ward. And what would happen, I'd get up in the morning and they'd pump you full of drugs, and within an hour, you couldn't put words together, you slur your speech and all that, because there's just too many drugs. So I done a deal with them, let me go home and I'll stay on this one drug and that'll give me sleep and I won't be here again. And that's ended up what happened.
stillness. Prayer followed naturally. Some spoke of sorrow, others of comfort. Many described a heavy emotional presence that lingered even after the moment passed. Whether illusion or something more, the effect on those present was undeniable. Events like this occupy a difficult space between belief and explanation, between
Do you, Diane? I didn't know that.
faith and analysis. Throughout history, religious images have been reported to weep.
You know why, diet knocks them out. You take a strong dose and you're conked out in 20 minutes.
Move, or change appearance during times of social stress and uncertainty. Skeptics often point to environmental factors. Believers point to meaning rather than mechanism. In this case, neither side rushed to claim certainty. What makes the moment significant is not the object itself, but what it stirred. In a period marked by extreme weather, instability, and fear, people found themselves drawn back to prayer, not out of habit, but out of need. The reaction was human before it was theological. For many watching the footage online, the image raised a quiet question. When
Baby, I was on 600 mil of Seroquel, and when I got admitted to the hospital in June for my stomach, they didn't even have a $300 milligram pill. They had to add a few together. They didn't even have a $300 a pill worth 300 milligram,
signs
and that was only half of my dose.
appear in places of faith rather than in the sky, are they meant to be studied or felt? If this moment resonates with you, like this video, subscribe, and leave a comment saying, "May the Virgin Mary watch over us as we continue this story." What followed after this report did not come from a single building, but from patterns appearing again across regions, across symbols, and across the human conscience. While signs
Oh, the dementia guys won't go to sleep. I didn't know that.
of reflection and unease spread across the land, attention quietly shifted
Yeah, I was on 600 milligrams, babe. I've only recently had it drop back to 3 because, I ended up changing it because it was just too high a dose.
toward the coastline, where the surface appeared calm.
And why I like Seroquel, if you take normal psych drugs, you wake up in the morning and you got a smell of psych drugs on you, and it's not a good stone.
Yet something below was clearly changing. Off the coast of Florida, sections of the seafloor began to weaken and collapse without warning. There were no hurricanes pushing waves inland, no earthquakes registered beneath the water, no visible disturbance on the surface. The ocean looked ordinary, almost peaceful, even as its foundations silently failed. Soon after, the consequences began to surface, not as debris or oil, but as life displaced from the depths. Along multiple stretches of coastline, strange and unsettling marine creatures started washing ashore. Some were identified as deep-sea species rarely, if ever, seen near land. Others could not be immediately classified. Pale, elongated bodies lay scattered across the sand, their skin thin and translucent, their forms seemingly unsuited for sunlight or shallow water. Fish with abnormally large eyes adapted for
Diane, with
darkness were found
with dementia, I don't remember any historical figure that had dementia. Yet we know what happened with Julius Caesar. He was an epileptic, so they know the details. I've yet to see one that had dementia problems because I think they're side effects from the vaxxers.
stranded in daylight, their bodies motionless as waves rolled past. In several cases, sharp-toothed creatures, normally confined to deep ocean trenches, appeared lifeless along the tide line. Their anatomy suggested extreme pressure environments, not coastal shallows. Some had collapsed fins. Others showed no visible injury at all, as if simply forced upward too quickly to survive. What disturbed observers most was not only the appearance of these creatures, but the timing. The strandings followed the seabed disturbances.
Yeah, that's it. Quitterpan. I can't even say it. It's spelled so weird.
Closely. There were no hurricanes to churn the ocean, no earthquakes to violently displace habitats, no sudden surface temperature changes large enough to explain mass displacement.
Bobo, 300 mils a pretty high dose, and it's not affecting you at all.
The sea had not been stirred from above. It was reacting from below. Residents and local officials described the scenes as deeply unsettling. Beaches that once felt familiar now felt foreign. The shoreline carried a heavy stillness. The smell of salt mixed with something older, mineral-like, as if the sea itself had released what it had held for generations. Children were kept away. Locals avoided the water. Fishermen reported empty nets in some areas and unfamiliar catches in others. Marine biologists suggested several explanations. Pressure shifts.
Okay, I'll switch to Bobo's favourite guy. Sorry, Bobo. This guy's interesting.
Oh, since these files came out a week ago last Friday night, there was the tip of the spear on the Franklin scandal and has written the definitive work on that. And it really.
Oh, the Franklin scandal. Was that the satanic ritual circle that ended up not being proven true, which probably was true? Is that the Franklin debacle?
Got my eyes. The only people who went to jail were survivors. The investigator and his son went down in a plane. But that was part of an apparatus, folks, that we are seeing a glimpse into today through the Epstein files. It's all one big international network.
Bobo, a number of times I've dried out. We don't say cold turkey, we say drying out. Probably 3 times.
Nick, you know, since these files came out a week ago last Friday night, it has vindicated.
And it's as bad as you could possibly think hanging out. Everything, oh, it's so horrible.
Your life's work, so congratulations, my friend.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I need the mainstream media to start embracing me, but other than that, a lot of other people have, so that's great. And I don't know if the mainstream media will ever embrace me. That's what's kind of strange about it all. I mean, everything that I wrote about and I've researched over the years has come to pass, but
Bobo, the worst thing about drying out is it takes about 3 months for you to get your head back right again. And in that 3 months, you're not sleeping much at all. And you're in jail, whereas you want to do as much sleep as you can because it means you don't have to do any nick. But yeah, that's what happens.
the mainstream media just doesn't want to let me in, man. It's kind of interesting.
And they never are going to let you in, Nick, because they are part of the problem. They are covering up for these predator elites. So, Nick, a week ago almost, said
I've sat on the same number of subscribers for what, how many years? 4 or 5 years, and it doesn't get any bigger than 300. They really hide my stuff. They got to. Cause my channel should have grown a little bit, but it hasn't grown at all.
to be some of the darkest
Lucky I don't chase it.
files, links. And I'm just going to go over some of the headlines before we let you take over, Nick. Black market babies.
Hey, Andrew, good to see you, mate.
Aquarium of girls, some are like shrimp, you throw away then, keep the body. 14 and 15-year-olds. Epstein and Maxwell unalive 2 kids. Mandelson loves the torture video. Hunting humans. Blacking out the name of a person who sent an image labeled 811. Billionaire Liam Bly, he's got lots of answers for. An Epstein buddy being vicious to victims. Maxwell, young girl in Mexico. Sex slave who was unalive by Prince Andrew. Enhancing a baby's sucking skills. There's a neuroscientist. Oh my goodness, this is a new one. Epstein requesting a hit. Muffins, steaks.
Andrew, if you're hanging out, you haven't got the energy to drink beer, truly. You just want to lay there and get it over and done with.
Pizza.
Beer makes it worse, actually.
There's lots of them in there. Epstein discussing babies and cream cheese.
What?
Steaks, pizza, grape soda. Carrie Fish, fertility specialist at Epstein, pizza, grape soda. However,
Yeah. Did you see Trump's meme about Obama and Michelle? He's got their head on a couple of monkeys.
brokers and celebrates. Musk steals Zuckerberg at dinner. Deepak Chopra. God is a construct. Cute girls are real. He wants Epstein to arrange younger women for him. Wildest party for Elon. Harvard law professor. The Rothschilds getting money and supporting Hitler. Ehud Barak, who's got a lot to answer for. If you've read Virginia's book, disgusting, the choker. Woody Allen, another disgusting character. Leonardo DiCaprio trying to get money out of Epstein. Email from Epstein to Eva Dubin discussing the unaliving of RFK's wife. Eyed white shut type party. That's just a fraction of it, folks. I don't want to dominate the screen here. Nick, which of these dark components would you like to start on?
Pick a nightmare, any nightmare.
Well,
all these accusations, Trump's been mentioned a little in the files, but it was more to do with lifts, not going to the island. I don't think he ever went to the island.
well, Naomi Campbell, she seems to show up everywhere. And we've got one here, multiple emails show Epstein and his staff repeatedly coordinating direct contact with Naomi Campbell over several years, indicating an ongoing active line of communication rather than a one-off interaction. It seems to me she's got lightly so far. What are your thoughts on Naomi Campbell's popping up everywhere?
She was circled in the black book, and I thought that it was a very good indication that she was much tighter with Epstein than what she had said. I mean, everybody's going to say that they didn't know Jeffrey Epstein or they just kind of knew him. It's see how they run, essentially. But these emails, they can't run from these emails. And what's really interesting is I'm in the emails. But actually, I'm in the emails for a good way, in a good way, because the Epstein crew put an all points bulletin out. They said there's a journalist, Nick Ryan, that's down here sniffing around, and this is what his picture looks like.
Well, good for you. You're one of the few people who are proud to be in the Epstein files today.
Yes.
So Nick, we hear about Jean-Luc Brunel and Victoria's Secret. Naomi Campbell, obviously top model. Was this one of the methods that they used when they were scouring these East European countries? They would promise the girls they would make them careers as models, and they would utilize the presence of Naomi Campbell to parlay that relationship.
Andrew, if I went to Britain, that's where you'd find me, in your pubs. The exact pubs you would drink at, I'd be there with you.
Into authenticity as to these false intentions.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm still trying to figure out how they were getting visas for these girls. There is a woman named Anne Rodriguez that's part of the Epstein crew. And I was told that she was one of the persons that is helping get visas for these girls to come over and be molested by Brunel and Epstein and that crew. But there were a number of emails about her from the Department of Justice, but then a number of them disappeared. So I don't know what to make of that. But and Virginia talked about it in her book, that Brunel was able to get visas for these girls. She didn't know exactly how, but he was. And as we've seen at this point, these guys had, Jeffrey Epstein had stratospheric connections. I mean, he could talk to the head of just about any country he wanted. I mean, it's pretty mind-boggling. And
a typical Jew.
I mean, now we really see the full scope of his criminality. I mean, not only is he's a child molester and a child trafficker, but he's a money launderer. He's an arms dealer. I mean, if you're team evil, this guy would be a first-round draft pick.
So are you saying then, Nick, that
if you're team evil,
the apparatus, we see, the procurers in chief, Maxwell and Jean-Luc Brunel, they're using the methodology of telling girls they can become models. Are you saying that the US federal government was fast-tracking these girls in by issuing these visas, promoting these girls down the Epstein pipeline?
It's hard to believe this, and I know that your audience may be dubious of it, but I think the federal government was somewhat corrupt when it came to Jeffrey Epstein.
We're all going to agree with that. How couldn't you agree with that?
I know it's hard to believe, but I mean, that's what I concluded.
Let's do a quick poll. Viewers, Put a one in the chat if you are sickened by the fact that the US federal government was fast-tracking visas for these young women, underage, many of them, into the Epstein pipeline. Put a two in the chat if you think there's nothing wrong with that. And let's see what
Prosecuting for child trafficking. Then they'll see something's wrong with it.
all you guys think. We've got 1,500 watching live across all platforms. We are discussing the darkest Epstein files that Nick Bryant has selected and sent to me in the last week. We've just talked about Naomi Campbell, which shows numerous communications with her. It was never a one-off thing. Like they're all saying it's a one-off thing. But the next document is black market babies. What's all that about, Nick?
Well, as you know, I started investigating the Franklin scandal 23 years ago, and the Franklin scandal has the darkest subject matter conceivable. And in the Franklin scandal, the evil shows no bounds. And I was looking for that with Epstein. I initially thought that Epstein was a kinder, gentler pedophile network than the Franklin scandal. But then as I heard more and more tales, I kind of started embracing these guys were as evil. And plus, human traffickers are just vicious people. I mean, that's like a job requisite to be a human trafficker or a child trafficker. You've got to be a vicious person and almost invariably a psychopath. But over the years, and I didn't hear this in Franklin, but I heard it in from other people I talked to, that there was a black market for babies, that there were women who were just known as breeders. And this blackmail, this email seems to suggest that Epstein ran some kind of black market for babies.
Probably did.
So I'm looking at a email subject. Woman who accused John of God cult leader of R-wording mysteriously unalives herself at Spanish home. And then redacted spoke of this going on at Zorro Ranch. She has said on record that Epstein offered her money to do this, birth babies for black market use. Oh my God, I've not come across this one yet.
You haven't, huh?
No, you're taking us into a very bleak realm.
Because I have heard so many dark stories. I would suggest that your audience check out the Extreme Abuse Survey. It was conducted by two Germans and 2 Americans. I believe the 3 of them had PhDs, and one of them is Carol Rutz, who is a mind control survivor who wrote a book about it called The Nation Betrayed. And they had all kinds of categories of extreme abuse, and breeders was one of them. And there were like 1,400 people that answered this survey, and a number of the people that answered it said that a number of the women had been breeders. So, and it's one of those things. With the Extreme Abuse Survey, you got numbers. You got like 100 or 200 people saying that I did this or I was part of this. And you just kind of want to go, whoa. And then you come across this email from Epstein, and then it essentially corroborates what these women have told me. And this stuff is so dark that it causes cognitive dissonance, for sure. We do not want to believe it, that our fellow humans can be this evil, but unfortunately they are, and a lot of them are running the world.
So I'm going to put Nick's links in the live chat. We've got over 2,000 watching already. Please support his important work. He's got his YouTube now.
Baby, we got the RSL, Return Services League.
Please sub. He's at.
And I played for their football side. It was in a local comp.
Very active on X.
I wasn't a good footy player. I was a good boxer, but I just wasn't a good footy player.
We're talking about the darkest Epstein files, cloning, tunnels, baby farms, gene editing, So, Nick, we've had Juliette Bryant on twice. We had a mother on recently as well. She said she woke up in the New Mexico property and felt that her organs had been tampered with, her womb. We spoke to Audra Lynn, who said a vast amount of money was offered to her to have babies. Have you reached out to these survivors?
Actually, I've reached out to both of them. And the director of Epstein Justice, we're an organization that's shooting for an independent congressional investigation of Epstein. We're never going to get to any justice here unless we get an independent congressional investigation commission. And that entails a majority in the House, a majority in the Senate does not require a presidential signature. And independent congressional commissions often employ non-government personnel. And that's what this is going to take if we're going to have justice. And actually, Audra Lynn is part of Epstein Justice. And she's a wonderful woman.
Fantastic. Just on a side note then, we've seen Prince Andrew. He's getting hammered here in the UK. King Charles is getting heckled because of Prince Andrew. This photo in particular has caused uproar. And let me put this one on the screen for you. Would you say that he's looking demonically possessed, or at the very least, he looks like he's drug glazed, addled with something?
Well,
Doesn't look good.
Doesn't look like an upstanding human being, that's for sure. If I just saw that picture and I did not know it was Prince Andrew and that there's too much inbreeding in the royal family.
And look how small his victim is. His victim's torso like a quarter the size of Andrew's torso. Look at that.
I would say, yeah, that guy might have some demonic possession going on.
And what's your interpretation of what he's up to? I imagine you've read Virginia's book and heard the 3 allegations she's made against him. In that context, it looks bloody suspicious to me.
I got to know Virginia. I believe you got to know Virginia too a little bit.
Yeah, over X. She couldn't come on because of legal considerations and commitments of her channels, documentaries.
Stefan sells tailored suits. Steven sells whatever suits. But when it comes to the best software supporting Aussie businesses, we all agree on MYOB.
It's amazing what a little snooze can do.
With Whoop, gain insights into how you train, sleep, and recover.
Crazy.
What is Kevin up to?
I just got the Kia EV4.
Her and I got to know each other and we exchanged emails. We talked occasionally. And the most vicious of the perps was Ehud Barak, according to her. But Prince Andrew wasn't a walk in the park either. He had kind of a sadistic streak. So, and with my research and writing over the years, pedophiles like these demented megalomaniacs, they like to go further and further and further as far as whatever they're doing. And a lot of times that's violence. And there was
Yeah.
pedophile network that was covered up.
Actually, Diane, my brother goes and buys Dyson vacuum cleaners that have been handed in for warranty. They just throw them out and give them a new vacuum cleaner. My brother pays something like $500 for a full-on trailer pallet full of vacuum cleaner stuff, and he puts it all together, and he makes a lot of money off it.
And it was run by Francis Sheldon out of Detroit.
He sells it on Amazon and that, but gee, he makes some money.
And they had Fox Island where they'd fly kids in and abuse them and make child abuse material. And a part of that group started killing kids. A book was written about it. It's called the Snow Murders. And there were 4 kids that were dumped, and there was no one arrested despite mitochondrial DNA. I mean, it's quite stunning. And the guy that ran that network, and it was a huge network, it was bigger than Franklin, and I believe it was bigger than Epstein. He ended up owning like an orphanage in India. It's just, and nothing ever happened to him.
I think Craig played for one of the Manchester City or Manchester United.
Yeah. I mean, and with the Franklin first, nothing ever happened to them. So we have to make sure that something happens to them. And what we want with the Congressional Commission is we want two things. We want to know why the government covered up child trafficking, and we want the perpetrators to be prosecuted. I mean, fairly baseline morality type stuff. And we have to make sure that our government takes that step. And the commission's an independent congressional commission.
So, Nick, you said some very important and alarming things there. You know, we're aware of all of the allegations against Prince Andrew that were made in public, but now you've just said that it went beyond that and there was some form of violence. Are you able to expand on?
If they zero in on Charles, like they did to Andrew, that's the monarchy gone. If the press, they get wind of it, if they get the balls to publish what they know about Charles, that's the end of the royal family.
No.
He liked to be, I mean, he wasn't an outright sadist, but I think he was kind of rough with some of the girls. I mean,
yeah,
I believe that he was somewhat rough with Virginia and probably others, but I don't know about the others.
Okay, and then you quite rightly brought up Ehud Barak, who in the book is just referred to as the Prime Minister. And this is
Diane, that's pretty astute of you.
The individual who allegedly choked Virginia got
They're all jumping after Silver at the moment.
Aroused by it. And when Jeffrey was told by Virginia what had happened, he said, it's part of your job description, just get on with it. I mean, what kind of sickos? This is the Prime Minister. What kind of sickos are put in powerful positions? Is it because they're all compromised, Nick?
Virginia told me that Ehud Barak put her in the hospital.
Jesus.
And yeah, I mean, Epstein is serving these little girls to these perps on a silver platter, and yet they have to asphyxiate them. And there's a email about let me see, where's it at? Epstein and Maxwell going too far with asphyxiation and killing a couple of kids.
Have I got that one in the list?
Let me see here.
Oh, yeah, I do. I've got it. I'll read it because I've got to weigh some of the words more carefully for YouTube. So what it says is, let me just get this guy off the screen as well. So what it says is, if this is true, Epstein-oriented email beggars belief, the abuse was off the scale. And this is November 21st, 2019. Subject, confidential Jeffrey Epstein, and then the emails are all redacted. It says, Edward, this is sensitive, so it will be the first and last email, depending on your discretion. You can choose to take it or trash it. Well, this comes from a person that has been there and seen it all as a former staff at the Zorro Ranch. The material blow was taken from Jeffrey Epstein's home as my insurance in case of future litigation against Epstein. Sorry.
I've never heard of this Zorro Ranch before.
No questions. What is damning about Jeffrey is yet to be written. Did you know somewhere in the hills outside of the Zorro, 2 foreign girls were buried on orders of Jeffrey and Madam G? Both died by strangulation during rough fetish sex. And then it gives some references to some videos. Nick, again, this is something I've not come across. Thank you for sending this to me. Do you think? What do you think is the accuracy of this?
Well, as I preface the links, is we haven't proven many of these things. But what we're looking at now is a strata of evil regarding Epstein that we haven't seen before, but I know that it exists because I've been researching and writing about these twisted megalomaniacs for many years. And we saw tremendous sadism in the Franklin scandal. And I've been searching for it, as I said earlier, with Epstein, and it's kind of led there, but I just wasn't able to reel it in. But these emails are corroborating a lot of what I wrote in the Franklin scandal, and they're also corroborating a lot of what I've heard from various survivors over the years.
All right, I'm going to go over to another one now then. We've got hunting humans. Let me see what this one says.
Diane, you get some good deals at the pawn shop, don't you?
All right, so I'm at the Hunger Games portion of the Epstein files. Human hunt. And then, oh my goodness. It's a short one. It just says the snipe hunt is over. Moon crickets in the field bag. Guess what? And it says they are the N-word. Oh dear. What do you make of that, Nick?
Well, I mean, we have heard tales of human hunting. People that have really dug into this reality have heard those tales. And again, it produces a certain cognitive dissonance because we don't want to think people can be this evil. But that email clearly delineates that whoever sent it was actually hunting for humans. I mean, can you interpret it any other way?
No, Nick, I can't. And I think you've hit a good point there, because quite often we judge people by our own moral standards. And it's beyond our comprehension that people can do things that absolutely repulse us. But not only can they do them, they get off on it. And it takes a lot of understanding to comprehend what these people are capable of. Our viewers asked, is
Wexner, and it's obvious that there's more deference that there's here. So Les Wexner, I believe, is one of the grand wizards of all of this.
Yeah, I mean, he's openly admitted to having a demon called a Dybbuk. He did an interview when he was trying to boost his public profile, and this Dybbuk, he said, was driving him.
I've seen a Dybbuk box. It's a Jewish box where they banish some sort of demon, and I've seen them be open only on YouTube. And I've seen them be open and really crazy things start to happen. There really is something wrong with these Dybbuk boxes.
Well, to expand restlessly.
Dybbuk means demon.
To buy out other companies, and it was a malevolent spirit, not a positive spirit. And then we've also got Epstein having a bank account. I think JP Morgan sent money to a bank account called Baal, B-A-A-L, as in the cult of Baal, as in the ancient animal and human sacrifice religion. Are they just teasing us with this stuff, or are they dropping clues as to what they're really about?
Well, we're getting into an area where we don't know, but on the other hand, there's a lot of evidence that evil is just ripping off these emails and documents. If you look at Les Wexner, the dude does not look quite human. I mean, with pictures of him, there's something very ominous and paranormal about him. I mean, that's my take. And for Jeffrey Epstein to be frightened of someone, given all of his connections, I mean, that person has a tremendous amount of power, not only over Jeffrey Epstein, but I think over the world.
Yeah, and this is the guy, folks, who gave Epstein the New York property that was all cameraed up in advance. This is the guy who, when the CIA were winding down the human and substance transportation aircraft, Southern Airlines, Air America, Wexler and Epstein were rehousing them to Ohio. And then later on.
What's funny about that is, okay, so Southern Air has been used for all kinds of nefarious things by the CIA during Iran-Contra and also in Africa. And then Epstein and Wexler brought it to Ohio ostensibly to basically move his L brand clothing, but they didn't even change the name. I mean, you would think that they would change the name, maybe even Northern Air Transport. You would think that they would change the name. The CIA was called the CIA Proprietary Airline. So that is right in your face, man. I mean, that's. I mean, you talk about in your face. There it is, right there. Not even renaming Southern Air Transport.
And they scrapped the directors of the company, formed the new company.
No, baby, that was a cat purring, mate. I'll call witness Diane. She's seen the cat coughing.
It was, similar structure. And brought in the same directors. So Marie wants to know, Nick, do you agree that Wexler is very high up, as he has never been questioned at all?
Yeah, I just said that. I believe that Wexler is one of the Grand Wizards. And I'm not talking in like the Ku Klux Klan. I'm talking about something more ominous. But yes, Wexler is, I think that he's royalty in all of this.
So here's another one that I've not come across. UCLA neuroscientist Mark Tramo, MD, PhD, discussing enhancing a baby's sucking skills.
Yes, there's an email from Tramo to Epstein that talks about that. And actually, there's been blowback to Tramo about this, and rightfully so. And I think UCLA has let him go. I mean,
okay, Diane just volunteered with a cat to sing a Paul Begley song. So we got that to look forward to, guys.
And it was just discovered, this email was just discovered within the last week. And, but when we think of psychopaths, teaching a baby.
Oh, hang on, the cat's too stoned to sing.
Sucking skills. I mean, that is so twisted, so psychopathic. But yet, this guy has an MD and a PhD, and he's an eminent neuroscientist. And he was writing an email to a very well-connected billionaire talking about this. So it really shows that these guys have no bounds whatsoever. And I've known this about like Epstein and other traffickers. I mean, they're psychopaths. And I've always said that, and people,
they got no empathy, have they? The sociopaths.
To me, I mean, according to the media and also the government, 14 was the youngest of Epstein's victims. But I know that they were younger. And Epstein primarily liked pubescent girls. But if you want an 8-year-old, he would get you an 8-year-old. And I've talked to therapists who are very, very eminent in the field of trauma. And 2 of them have said that they have worked or counseled Epstein victims that were younger than 10. And this Lawrence King and Craig Spencer primarily into pubescent boys. But if you wanted a 7-year-old or there's an account of King dropping off a 7-year-old or 8-year-old kids. And also of the Omaha World Herald publisher, Harold Anderson, who is part of that little cabal, molesting younger kids like 7 or 8 years old. So with these guys, again, There's no moral demarcation whatsoever. Whatever their clients want, their clients will get.
I knew about children being tampered with by adults, but it really shocked me to find out they do that to babies. I didn't even consider that would be something to do, but it really surprised me when I found out they do that. I was so shocked.
And like Peter Mandelson, he was the UK ambassador to the United States, and he's going to be in some hot water too. I think he's already lost his diplomatic status, but he wrote an email to Epstein saying he loved the torture video.
Everyone has a reason to become a blood donor, because 1 in 3 of us will need blood in our lifetime. So one day, your life might be the reason.
Because Ollie is picky about the taste of her fruit, her family ordered woolly.
If you own a small business, you know the day goes fast.
Which I find to be kind of mind-boggling.
Yeah, we've got Mendelssohn's had 2 properties raided this week here in the UK.
Yeah.
And he's looking at some serious prison time. Starmer's come out and acknowledged he knew about Mendelssohn's relationship with Epstein. And Andrew Loney, who we had on before you, is predicting that Starmer will be toppled within a week now because of this Epstein's file release relationship. And apparently Mendelssohn was selling state secrets to Epstein. Does that, show the honey trap spying apparatus side of this?
It does, but there's an email from Mandelson to Epstein when Epstein got busted the investigation started in 2005, but the sweetheart deal was done in 2008. And Jeffrey Epstein was given 18 months and Connie Jones served 13 months. And there's an email from Mandelson to Epstein saying, what they've done to you is just horrible. That would never happen in the United Kingdom. So maybe Mandelson's going to find out something that he didn't know at this point, which would be very good. I mean, I think that someone who loves torture videos should probably be segregated from the rest of society. Just my own personal opinion. I think you're wrong.
Thanks for the super chat, Cheryl. It wasn't just Mandelson gushing all over Epstein, though, was it, out of the UK? It was also this lady, Fergie.
No, it could be Vars. Vars told me he pops in and has a look at the chat sometimes. I wish he'd come back. I like Vars.
A month ago, she said that she didn't care about the survivors. She was pretending to shed a book deal.
Shawnee, that's a different kettle of fish.
And now it's just come out she wanted to marry Epstein because he was supplying her with all this cash, because she's such a spendthrift, running up bills left and right, 1 minute, almost bankrupt, next minute, doing this. And
if you've seen Fergie's father, he's dead now, she looks exactly like him. There's no way I could get with her because she looks like her dad 100%.
What was the relationship between Fergie? Was she solidifying the relationship with Andrew and Epstein? Was that her role?
Yes, and actually there's an email where she writes to Epstein, and she realizes that Epstein was just using her as a conduit to Andrew, and she's very offended by it because she realizes that she's been used, and but there's nothing she can really do. And I do believe that Epstein continues to give her money.
Continues to give, And what do you think that King Charles should do now? Because it's causing a crisis. Not only is it causing a crisis for Starmer, it's causing a crisis in the monarchy.
Well,
as bad as Prince Andrew's got it, Prince Harry's got it a lot worse. I bet he regrets walking out now, because that nightmare he's married to, I don't even think she's pretty. Not that that counts, but she wouldn't catch my eye.
He completely stripped Andrew of all his titles, which I mean, Andrew should be in jail. Bottom line, I'm sure he still has all his 50 teddy bears on his bed, and he's got someone to arrange them like he likes. But this Epstein definitely hits at the upper crust of UK and upper crust of Israel,
Yeah.
and the upper crust of the United States. And what I've always said, the upper crust is a bunch of crumbs that are held together by dough. So that's what you have is, and it should resign like Larry Summers.
Die. If Vast came here and just didn't take Bobo so serious, it wouldn't be so bad. Why doesn't he just give it back to Bobo?
And other who had formerly
He's smart enough.
been president of Harvard. He didn't resign as president of Harvard, but he had a position at Harvard. He said some very stupid things when he was president of Harvard. Like, men have a greater aptitude for science than women, and I mean, just an all-around misogynistic type. And actually, in some of the emails, he's asking Jeffrey Epstein. Now, this comes that he was the head of the Treasury, Secretary of the Treasury, and then he was president of Harvard. And he's writing emails to Jeffrey Epstein, asking him how he should go about having an affair on his wife. And I should add that Larry Summers, when he was Secretary of the Treasury, he was the guy that, well, I guess Clinton did it, but he was obviously down with it, repealed the Glass-Steagall, and Glass-Steagall prevented regular banks from becoming investment banks. And there was a very strong firewall between the two because that had caused the Great Depression in the 30s, and they repealed that act, and that's what led to the 2008 meltdown. So Larry Summers, and that's what's crazy about this stuff. What you watch these guys do, Larry Summers was integral to the financial meltdown in 2008, where millions of Americans lost their homes and went through unbelievably difficult times, and he gets rewarded by becoming the president of Harvard until he said some very stupid things about women and men. But he was still employed by Harvard. It's mind-boggling that what these guys get away with. And during the 2008 meltdown, nobody's head rolled. I mean, Larry Summers should have had his head on the chopping block, but nothing happened to him.
Of course, they protect each other. Now, when the files are dropped, we heard the allegations against Gates, the surreptitiously trying to drug his wife because of what he contracted from the Lady of the Night. But you sent me more here. Director Barry Josephson, and this is to do with the population agenda, quote, "I've been thinking a lot about that question that you asked Bill Gates. How do we get rid of poor people as a whole? And I have an answer." What?
We've always known that Bill Gates was a eugenicist. I mean, his family were eugenicists. He's a eugenicist. This is that something like that doesn't come as a shock. But so here's a eugenicist trying to save the third world by his vaccines.
He was in Australia this week as well, Bill Gates. They're all coming to Australia after that attack on the Jews in December.
And the GMO rice and the rest of it. And, he's been an arbiter of morality. They wheel him out whenever there's a global crisis. We've got this backstory of the kid who made billions from his garage. It all seems to be a crock of when you look at these emails. who is going to surreptitiously drug their wife because they've contracted an STD? This is a diabolical scheme, isn't it, Nick?
I think there's probably one human that would do that, and his name is Bill Gates. I mean, there might be some other humans, but I think you're in a relatively small group there.
All right, let me.
And I do believe that Epstein had Bill Gates compromised. There's pretty strong indications of that.
Yeah, definitely. So we've got one here that involving Woody Allen, I believe. I've not read this one yet either. Peggy Siegel, who's sick about Woody Allen being busted for incest, and the correspondence. Let's have a look. There's 3 pages here. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Something to do with tunnel.
One of them he married. One of his stepkids, he married her.
Tunnels as well. So the first page is
He's a dirty old creep.
Jeffrey from Sherry Kearney. Of the billing to date, 5,000 is for the ATV garage. We're not all at payment of 105,000 searching over Gensler. Had direction from the team that added tunnels and office below the main house. So does this email thus confirm that Jeffrey had a tunnel system below his house, Nick?
Yes, and actually there's another email about tunnels below the island. I guess the estate of Jeffrey Epstein had adamantly denied that, but yeah, there were definitely tunnels below the island too.
So the link's taking me to the tunnels email. Let me see.
Oh, okay.
Do you know off the cuff what they were saying about Woody Allen? And I mean, look at the body language on that picture I've got on the screen. It's like she's captive, isn't it? She's being shepherded along, and Jeffrey's in the front there, leading the way to God knows where.
There's a humorous.
Oh, I thought they put Jeffrey in there as an example, but he really was there. Wow.
Exchange with emails between Woody Allen and Jeffrey Epstein. They both loathe Alan Dershowitz. and Woody Allen calls Alan Dershowitz the worst name dropper he's ever encountered. And I'm sure that hurts Alan's feelings. And we feel sorry for Alan, don't we? Because he's such a stand-up paragon of morality.
Well, he's in a magazine campaigning for the reduction of the stature, the age that people can do things at. And he's also saying that CP, let's just call it CP because YouTube doesn't like this word, isn't a crime because it's just images. There's no harm done. And then he's saying, he had a massage, but he kept his boxers on. Why the hell is the lawyer for someone who's got this conviction getting a massage at this guy's house in the first place? And he's so brazen about it. He's all over the media. He's all over Piers Morgan.
I busted him lying a number of years ago when I wrote the article. As you know, I put up the black book in the flight logs. I was the guy that did that. And Dershowitz, the preceding week, had told American Lawyer that he only flew with his wife. And then I got the flight.
Andrew, I don't care. I've got spies. I'm not doing nothing illegal, so I don't care what they know.
Logs, or we published the flight logs, and Dershowitz was on the offensive because Virginia Giuffre had filed an affidavit saying that she'd been molested by Dershowitz.
Trust me, I'd already be on their list because my Wizard of Oz do code.
I think about 6 times, and that's what. And Dershowitz went on a big time offensive, and that's when he said, "I only fly with my wife." Well, those flight logs showed that he flew. His wife isn't on a lot of those flights, but the names of other women or girls are. And if you read the Gawker article, you can find it somewhere. And he's talking about, but then we mentioned his flying with Claire and Tatiana and And then he ultimately defaults to like joking about it. So he's gone very serious, but then he realizes that he's been busted by reality. So then he just jokes about it. It's a pretty good article if you're looking. You can Google Nick Bryant, Epstein flight logs, and read the article if you want.
So Dershowitz definitely has a lot to answer for, and you've also sent me a link to the files concerning Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, that's a strange one.
It says he needed to make some money in 2009. So who does he go to? Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein then contacts Mandelson on the screen for non-US sponsors for the megastar. So here's the email from Epstein to Mandelson. Can you think of anyone in India, China, Japan that might want the endorsement of Leonardo DiCaprio, Russia, etc., cars, etc.? He's looking for non-US products to endorse to make some money. I mean, how much money does Leo need? Look how much he gets paid per movie.
I mean, that is a bizarre email because Leonardo DiCaprio's got to be worth hundreds of millions. I mean, why does that guy need more money? Why does he want to do endorsements outside the U.S.? I mean, a lot of celebrities do endorsements outside the U.S.
He's a good actor, though. I must admit that.
I mean, you can go to. I mean, I was in Lisbon once, and I saw like Bruce Willis hawking something, or, I mean, when you go to different countries, you can see different celebrities. Then they wouldn't do it here, but Leonardo DiCaprio is at the top of his game. I mean, he is probably commanding more than just about anybody in Hollywood. So that's such a bizarre.
It is really bizarre, shocking. And we've got over 7,500 watching live right now. Please don't.
Diane, I was actually thinking about that. This everyone's got a wrench. I might give it a day or two and just bring it back to you getting a wrench.
Forget to support Nick.
No offense to anyone else.
Nick's links. I'll put in the live chat again. He's got his own channel, Patreon, X, etc. And, disclaimer, we're going through some of the darkest and most shocking Epstein files that Nick has been sending me all week, and I really appreciate this. One pertains to an eyes wide shut type party, and it tells Epstein about Epstein's party that brought him from DC to VA General Dynamics building housing an esoteric library of ancient secret Nazi relics, hosted by internet architect billionaire Rick Adams, with the father of the internet, Vince Cerf, and an ancient magician. What's all this about, Nick?
It's the amazing Randy is part of that group, and he likes little boys. And actually, there was an organization called the False Memory Syndrome.
Yeah, don't look at the bigger picture, Bobo. You just be an arsehole.
Foundation. And they thought anybody that had recovered memories of being molested was.
Yeah, nailed that one. This is designed to be effective.
So if they're camping this weekend, I said we'd sort the drinks. $20 a head's doable, right?
The False Memory Syndrome Foundation went on the offensive against that. And they said that anybody who remembered being molested as kids was suffering from the false memory syndrome. And the amazing Randy was on the board of the False Memory Syndrome Foundation. And the False Memory Syndrome Foundation comes up again in Epstein's
There's Bobo in that dress again.
emails because of a psychologist named Elizabeth Loftus. And what these False Memory Syndrome Foundation people would do is they would fly around the world. I mean, they were credentialed PhDs, MDs, and they would debunk stories of child abuse. That was their gig. And they were founded by a pedophile and his wife, that organization. Just a very corrupt organization, but it was given a lot of fanfare in the media from the PBS, New Yorker. I mean, I don't know if it bamboozled these media outlets or these media outlets are just thoroughly corrupt. But yeah, the Amazing Randy was part of that party, and he's also a very foul, sinister man.
Yes, this pertains to Epstein from Redacted, to Jeffrey. Got invited to a top secret dinner that felt so much like something you would host. Had to meet at Hay Adams' White House and be transported somewhere far in Virginia.
Right.
Rolled up to a huge General Dynamics building.
It'll be
Office
cold
building.
out
Inside
there.
was not an office. It was a library with some of the most bizarre and unbelievable relics. Declaration of Independence, all of the Salius stuff. Did you know he was a dwarf? Nazi weirdness, samples of all elements in the periodic table, stuff from the moon, meteors, Bible things. Anyway, it was so cool and the space wasn't fancy. Wood floor, square room. You could open and touch all of the books, even the super old ones. I enjoyed the Amharak stuff on wood and leather about medical magic from like a zillion BC. And on it goes, giving this description, talking about magicians, etc. Anything to add there, Nick?
No, this is, you're part of the cabal with these people when you're in, and I'm sure that there was some, those artifacts sound extremely expensive, if not priceless. And I've always said, when I was digging into the Franklin scandal and I was trying to get my mind around it, and I asked one of the blackmail photographers how it worked. And I've used this analogy before, because there's not a book about sexual blackmail, a nonfiction book. So I was just trying to get my mind around it. And the blackmail photographer told me that, he said, once you're blackmailed, it's like you're on a yacht, and it's a beautiful yacht, and it's a beautiful day, and you can have anything you want on the yacht. But if you decide to get off the yacht, the people on the yacht are going to make sure that you drown. And I believe that this party was given for people on the yacht, that they've got their pet little cabal.
All right, so another part of this that I've been looking at then that you sent me, and I have read this one, I found it quite disturbing.
Go, with even more grunt, in the new diesel GWM Tank 300. See you out there.
We don't like to make a fuss, but Redbox has gotten bigger than ever.
You can't be serious.
With even more of your favorites streaming before anywhere else.
Amazing.
But let's not make a scene. Bridgebox, always better, now bigger.
3. Of all these opening ceremonies at the Olympics, they did it again, my friends. This is Tony. Hope you're all doing well. We're talking about the Winter Olympics. They just had their opening yesterday. And of course, we're already seeing a number of photos coming out. Not really surprising, actually, considering the history of all these opening ceremonies at the Olympics. We've seen all the weird symbols and strangeness over the years. And of course, what was it? France last time, right? Where they had the Last Supper, but then they were essentially mocking it. Then they told us they weren't mocking it, and then we actually proved they were, because they actually had some writing that actually mocked it literally on the front of the table. Then they sort of walked it back. Oh, we didn't do that. Right? Remember that whole thing? And so now apparently they're just putting up some bizarre imagery which apparently looks a little bit like a pentagram. Now I thought they claimed this was an atom. I think this is what they were saying it was. It was an atom, and they were combining two flames together. I'll actually show you the video in a little bit. And it's just, obviously the color, the symbol inside the circle kind of lends towards what we're all sort of thinking when you look right at it. Like, maybe this isn't a good thing. Maybe not. It's got the flame in the center, of course. They united two different cities. And, of course, it was in Italy this time. Milano, Cortina, however you say that. I'm assuming that's how you say it. In Italy, as you can see here on the map. And like I said, it seems like every time they do this, they got some weird thing they're doing where they're essentially mocking Jesus, or they're, putting up some weird symbols. Obviously, with this one in France, it was in, where was that at? I actually had it open a second ago. Well, it's interesting. Let me show you that real quick. Where was it last time? Because I wanted to show you something else that recently happened also in France. I'm wondering if it's in the same place. Olympics, France. What was it? 2024, I think it was. Yeah, August 2024. And it was in Paris. I was thinking, it was in Paris. Right. So let me see how that compares to this other location. We had this other weird parade that happened tail end of last year in Toulouse, France, where they had Lilith and Minotaurs parading through the city in a pretty, a gigantic fashion. I mean, they had numerous people running each one of these, and they had them meet up. You can see here, this is actually Lilith with a bunch of spider legs with a Minotaur. Right. So that was in Toulouse, France, which I'm not sure how close that is to Paris. I don't think it's near it. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's go look here. I wanted to see how far away it was from each other. In Paris. Okay, let's see what we got here. Oh, it's pretty far away. Yeah, I was thinking it was kind of far away. It is. It's literally 6 hours away. Yeah, one side and the other side of the country. Yeah, I was thinking it was far away. All right, so it's just bizarre because all these things are in the. Oh, that's interesting. So I'm curious about the locations when they do these, because this is right here now, the newest one in the Winter Olympics. I'm wondering if there's like a shape it makes if you go through all the different places they do these things. I don't know. That's a good question, actually. But here we go. We'll just get into this a little bit. Satanic, of course, symbolism was read out in the open as usual during the opening ceremony of the Winter Olympics. Nothing new. You got here literally the church, Satan has almost the exact same looking symbol there, red in the background. Yeah, kind of relates a little bit. Of course, they're going to just say, oh, that's just a weird happenstance, just a weird coincidence that occurred. And I'm going to get into a ton of stuff with regards to this because we got a lot. We got them walking through a gateway as they go into the Olympics. I'll show you that. We got a lot of other crazy things. The date that they did it on, which is rather curious. And also, I'm going to show you the video behind this and a number of other analysis, other symbols being seen there, and much more, including a ton of other stuff. First, I'm going to mention food supply, 25-year shelf life. Link is in the description. 3 months for $600+ I think it's $697 if I remember correctly. Premium package. Go check it out. Link is in the description for that. Of course, this book here, The Lost Ways of Great-Great-Grandfather Lived Without Electricity. How to build a cellar, do things around the house as they did in the old days. Hundreds of pages illustrated. You definitely need that book before the power goes out. You've seen it happen in Europe. I think it was a year ago. 4 different countries in Europe. It also happened in America in a few different places, in Washington State about 2 years ago. And it had to do with something that happened right across the border in Canada when China was doing exercises. It just so happened three power substations got hacked. And of course, they've been talking about that happening perhaps as a means to where that was a test of something they could do in the future. $37, get the printed version. Go check out all my social media link below. We are doing awesome on X finally. We're actually getting some serious views. I mean, I won't say awesome because this guy's getting way more views than I do, but we were really, really small at first. And it took a little while to get off the ground. But we're getting some serious views, not serious. I mean, we're getting, 10,000 views here and there, 80,000, stuff like that. I mean, compared to some of these guys that get millions of views on everything they put out. But I think eventually that'll happen one day, maybe hopefully not too distant future. But go check it out. It'd be awesome to get more of you guys over there. Some of you have already went over there. I'm really happy about that. I'd say only a couple percent of you guys are over there. I'm serious. I mean, when I post on the front page, I do get a little bit of traction, but not a lot. I usually get a lot more just commenting under people's posts because apparently people like what I have to say or something. I don't know what's going on there. But before I was thinking for a while they weren't liking what I was saying, but it actually started taking off. Anyway, go check that out as well. Let's get back to the video. So we have here.
Wow, Di, they kill their own children. Wow.
I saw this post about the opening ceremony where they walked through, of course, one of these Olympic rings. And it just seemed interesting how they had to walk through it, going onto the stage, kind of an indication of a portal. We had some interesting stuff I covered on a video on my main channel back in 2018 about there being the devil's chambers underneath the Vatican. And actually, let me show you that real quick. And what's interesting is we have this clip from Henry Groover.
I was just about to mention Henry Groover.
Of him seeing this. He saw, I think in a vision or a dream. He actually had numerous dreams.
No, it was a real event. It wasn't a dream or vision.
True. He also has one about World War III. And I've covered that in the past. Henry Groover is this man right here. He died. He actually predicted, he had a dream about Trump, where Trump came to him with a king's mantle on and left it at his house and said, "I'll be back." And he died, I believe, this dream was way before he lost the 2020 election. So essentially the dream was saying that he will be back, meaning he lost, but he'll come back. So he actually had an accurate dream in that respect, but he had other dreams as well. A lot of different dreams, but he had one about an angel chained up underneath the streets of Rome. And I had a video where I covered on my main channel, God Rules, about, let me see if we can pull this up. So, here we go. Lucifer's Temple Chambers beneath the Vatican. This video right here, it's got almost 5 million views at this point, but I covered, let's just pull it up real quick. Oh, wow, I used that intro way back when. That's cool. I forgot all about that intro. I have that around here somewhere still. Let's see here. What was it? Yeah, there's a room underneath the Vatican where it actually has a picture of the devil, Lucifer, still on the wall. They have all these different rooms in necropolis underneath the Vatican with false gods in each room. Like, why would you have that? Can you imagine going into your church's basement and finding a room to Satan and to Apollo and, oh, this is just historical here. Oh, nothing weird's going on in our church. So you go, what? Why do you got a room to the devil over here in your church? It's a little weird, a little strange. You know what I mean? You don't think the devil might show up there once in a while and talk to somebody? Oh, that's right. The files, the Epstein files. Apparently, the Pope's in there. Maybe I should show you that as well. I forgot all about that. My goodness, dude, there's so much stuff right now. It's just ridiculous. All the stuff we were talking about all these years has now been proven true. Or maybe not all of it, but we talked about a lot of crazy stuff over the years. But actually, quite a few of the things that I sort of said, hey, this might be true. Yeah, actually, a lot of it was, apparently. So let's just type in Pope, see what we get here. I know one of the popes met with him more than once. Now, we only got 420 results here. I don't have anything pulled up. Maybe I should go to X and pull up some because I'm sure someone wrote something over there. But as you can see here in the data sets, on the files, there's lots of mentions of the Pope. Pretty obviously. There you got one right here. I don't even know. Some of these are probably just links and stuff. If we go to X, let's go to just type in, I'm not trying to do this right now. I just thought maybe I should pull something up on this as well.
Get outside and hit play. Sign up today. Hot Shots Tennis. It's different.
At Coles, midweek dinners are made easy with Coles Australian RSPCA approved chicken schnitzel plain crumb 600 grams on special for just $7 a pack. Plus, spend $50 or more online for free click and collect on your time at Coles.
For life's mishaps, there's our extra tough blaster. It blocks 99%.
What makes a visit to America beautiful? Sure, the place itself will leave you speechless, but it's the moments with locals you didn't know but will never forget. This land has a million moments to offer, so find yours.
Okay. What does this say? Okay, well, what's this say? 2010 Pope Benedict received a performance of shirtless gymnasts who performed in a gay circus, which confused a lot of people. Now,
what the heck are you having? Oh my lord!
Was in the what do you call it? What do they call it? The audience hall, which has the Vatican audience hall. You see what I'm getting at now? I'm sure you guys have seen the pictures of the audience hall, right? I've only shown it times. It literally looks like a snake or a dragon's head. The red dragon, from Revelation or something. I mean, not exactly.
I'm showing that, guys.
Exactly rocket science. Of course, when Jesus walked, a lot of people are like, you should lose your faith over this. Why would I lose my faith over this? I literally read the Gospels. Jesus literally had a problem with all the religious leaders of his time because they were all hypocrites and frauds, kind of like what we're seeing today. Literally, what's written in the Gospels is exactly what's happening and exactly the same. They all wanted to kill him because he was telling the truth. What a shocker. The leadership is the same today as they were back then. I mean, I'm not going to lose my faith. It actually confirms it. It's just no one pays attention. That's the problem. So you got this little room to Lucifer underneath.
Andrew, when it goes quiet, it's usually something interesting on TV being said.
The Vatican in Necropolis. Necropolis, the name of Necropolis alone should give you pause. But the fact of the matter is, you got all these weird symbols at, of course, the Olympics. We had here Henry Gruber, who had the numerous dreams, prophetic dreams. He had one about World War II, where essentially Russia and China come in from both sides into America. By the way, the power goes out beforehand. All the communication goes down. Electricity goes out. A lot of people had dreams about this, not just him, numerous people. I've had people in the comment section talking about it. You can go look on YouTube, just type in World War III, Russia, China. You'll see like hundreds of people with dreams on this, all pretty much saying the exact same thing. Some are saying that there's like a tsunami coming towards cities.
Oh, you got no sound at all.
Which actually makes sense because Russia has that technology now. It's called Poseidon. You can go look it up. But he talks about angels chained, and fallen angels chained beneath the streets of Rome. Now that kind of fits in with these necropolis with rooms to the devil underneath the Vatican. Kind of fits into the exact same thing right there. I'm not saying, I see my wife is Catholic. I'm not saying the Catholic Church is bad. What I'm saying is the leadership is bad. And this is the whole issue. You got lots of bad leadership in the Protestant church as well. In the Orthodox church, it's a lot better. Although you probably still got issues over there as well, like Russian and Greek Orthodox, all these. But the fact is, the point is it having faith in Christ, following him. He talks about angels being chained up underneath the streets of Rome, right? You got here.
That was pretty fascinating, that. His voyage down the streets of Rome.
The date in which the Winter Olympics started. was on 2/6/2026, which is also, from what I understand, a very interesting date. I had another thing pulled up here on that as well, on the date 2/6/2026. I think it was Bull Pony. Do I have that still up? I do, actually. Let me show you that real quick as well. We're going to get into a lot more of what's going on with the Olympics, but this is actually the date when the Olympics started. You add the 2s together, you get a 6 as well, right? This is what she's pointing out. But Bull Pony is actually pointing out how this is, if you put it into the Julian calendar, from the fake Gregorian calendar, you get January 24th, 2026, which is supposed to be life birth. It could be a good or bad day depending on how you look at it. So it's an important date, is the point. A very important date. And so, I mean, it just depends on how you want to look at it. So obviously the devil has his plans. God has his plans. They're both fighting against each other. As I've talked about numerous times, you have the white dragon versus the red dragon, as it says in the last chapter of the book of Esther that was removed, Mordecai's dream, the evil dragon versus the good dragon being God, the evil dragon being the red dragon, the devil. A lot of people are like, oh, you can't say God is a dragon. Well, he says he himself is a dragon in Psalms and other passages. I mean, he doesn't literally say, I'm a dragon. He says, I have fire coming out of my nostrils. How many other animals do that you know of, other than a dragon? Fire coming out of their nostrils. But I mean, you also had the serpent or dark dragon on a pole. When it says the word serpent, it's actually dragon. Serpent on a pole that Moses lifted up is a dragon. So God represents himself as a dragon. Even Jesus referenced that, saying, just like the serpent on the pole, I will be raised up. So he is the white dragon, the good dragon. And the good dragon is fighting over power in the earth with the...
I don't buy this good dragon, bad dragon.
Evil dragon, the red dragon, not in the sense of like them directly fighting, but rather over the minds of man. If men in their free will choose evil, the red dragon reigns. If men choose good overall, the white dragon reigns for 500 years. We just moved into the white dragon age from the red dragon age. We were in it for over 500 years. And now I believe we're moving forward, although the devil is still trying to do his agenda, as you can tell. Should be pretty obvious looking at some of this stuff. We have here, let's see here. I think we have the video right here. Let's play the video. Check it out. All right. Okay, saying 2 different cauldrons are being from 2 different cities. I wonder what cities. I don't think.
That looks like a pineal gland to me.
He says, oh, look, see, this is interesting. What is going on here? It's back, I mean, today, actually, on another video of mine I made. So he hands him some sort of orb. You can see the symbol right there on the ground. We actually have some stuff on that as well. Hunger Games, Winter Olympics. Yeah, exactly, dude. Hunger Games, Winter Olympics, actually. Interesting. Oh, yeah, you also have the all-seeing, of course, eye. Although that's not the correct shape. It's not actually that symbol.
Busby, come here, mate.
Shape, if you look at it. Eye of Sauron. Satan loses. All right, what else do we got here? Yeah, so the symbol right here. Yeah, this symbol. So we're going to get into that in a second. Obviously, the PDF symbol. We're using that word instead, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so we have some other stuff as well here. What else do we got? Oh, yeah. Let's see what this guy has to say right here. Actually, look at this picture. Literally, flames, a pentagram with a circle around it. It's literally the same thing. All right, let's play this real quick. No music. I'll probably have a copyright or something. It's so annoying. It's not like they mocked Jesus. Yeah, they did, actually. In the last one, 2024, we covered that. And they tried to deny it, but it was very obvious. They even used a rhyme. They used some sort of rhyme in French that referred to the river they were on, and the terms were all very similar, and it was very obviously referring to Christ. Oh yeah, Commonwealth Games, giant satanic bull. All right, yeah, it's like the golden calf, right, of the Exodus. Yeah. Right. You got this PDF, of course, symbol here. Check this out. This is pretty cool.
Okay, so this is Jeffrey Epstein, a cabal of elite satanic pedophiles who control the media. This is the media. Go look at your iPhone. There's literally an apple with a bite out of it on the back. This is Western women who listen to stupid subversive narratives cooked up by literally devil-worshipping psychopaths. And then this is Western men who can't stop taking their cues from women. Oh, your kids can be trans. Every culture is the same. Let's let in mass migration. You don't have to be religious. All the religions are the same. You should just be spiritual. Do OnlyFans. Get into a bunch of...
You can't just make things up, you idiot.
Debt to go to school so you get a piece of paper that says you memorize facts about arthropods instead of having children. Whatever she says is right. I'm with her. Believe all women. I just want some coochie. Oh, why is our society crumbling? What's happening? Oh, yeah. No. In a rightly ordered society, this guy would be looking at God and she would be looking at him. And she would be...
Oh, that's kind of interesting. Good analogy there, considering the files that just came out as well. Yeah, pretty good, actually. And, I mean, the fact is, this is...
I'll go another one, guys. But I can't do 3 hours today.
Pretty messed up, all the stuff that's going on.
Busby, come here.
Very obviously, the devil is trying to put forth his agenda still. But like I mentioned in previous videos, he's already lost. I showed the astronomical symbolism even a year ago on my channel. Where you had, I think it was in December. You had the power of Orion being eclipsed by an asteroid. I think that was back in December 2024. And you had numerous other ones. You had the Revelation 12 sign.
It's Busby zooming up and down the hallway.
As well. You had several other things as well. You had the eclipse calendar, the exact same between the Book of Esther and what was in, I think, 2024 as well. So we actually moved into the White Dragon Age last year, and this explains why these files are coming out. Because why would they release them otherwise? If you're some elite dude running the world and you got everything under control, why the hell would you release that stuff? You wouldn't. Obviously, you would not want anybody to know about it. But the fact is, God is now starting to take dominion back. Again, as I mentioned, you have the red dragon and the white dragon vying for power of the world. And in the Book of Esther, final chapter, Mordecai's dream,
you gotta tell him, Buzz. You gotta tell him, mate.
They took it out and put it in the
good boy you are.
Read it online.
A good boy, yes you are. A very good boy.
Which, of course, they tell you, oh, it's a bad book. Don't read Apocrypha. It's actually really good. So the fact is, you also have King Arthur who had the exact same sort of dream 1,000 years later about a red and white dragon fighting for power of the world. Merlin the magician, who's also a Christian, which a lot of people don't know, interpreted it for him. And so, of course, a lot of people don't know magi or magicians meant Jesus at his birth. That's what the word magi means, magician. That a lot of Christians just assume magician, evil. That's, again, same sort of, this is what I'm talking about. The devil has intentionally separated the scriptures from what they're really meaning. Like by adding this theology in that takes the Bible and twists it into something else rather than you reading it for what it is. And so the entire point is that we are moving into a white dragon age. So it makes sense that these elite will fall eventually here because of this. And it will end up, good people will become in power rather than evil people. At any rate, that's my video. I kind of want to see what else if anyone in the comments section. Well, thanks for watching.
I'll go a bit longer, guys. Did that load? No, it didn't. Didn't think so.
what is happening? All the stuff happening in Minnesota, Portland, we got ICE, we got people getting shot. I mean, how is this shaping really the conversation?
Yeah, this right here is the one that I think people need to really learn to exercise discernment on and not provide an opinion right afterwards, right? What did we see happen right after this, say, the Minnesota ICE shooting? Whenever the ICE officer, shot Renee Good, whenever she pulled out, right? The first thing that we came out, before really there was any investigation, DHS came out and said, he was defending himself and his partners. He felt a threat to his livelihood because she was using this huge weapon vehicle to try to hit him, right? And then you had the other side. So this is that right-left paradigm, right? You had the other side that said that he intentionally shot her because, he just wanted to get rid of her, basically. He didn't like her because she was a protester. So you have this, both of these different views.
Well, you wouldn't like half the country if you don't like the protesters then.
And this is where we as humans need to learn how to take a step back, and especially us as believers. We need to learn how to take a step back, process the information. Don't get out there on social media and start spouting whatever each side is saying. Just take a step back, listen, watch, observe. Because over time, especially, you take a good 72 hours. That's the rule. Take a good 72 hours, let it process, let the information come out, and you're liable to get a lot more information. I mean, when you first look at it, the very first videos that came out, did it look bad? Yeah, I mean, it absolutely looked bad. When you look at the other side, did it appear that maybe...
You know what happened, Bobo? I had short hair. Then they brought in restrictions if you didn't take the vaccine to the shops. So I went the whole time without a haircut. And at the end of it, my hair was a bit longer. So I thought, well, not many 6-year-olds have got their hair. So at least I got my hair. And that's why I grew it out, because I can. Not many can grow hair out because they're usually bald by 62.
He was justified in doing what he did? Yeah, I mean, possibly. That's not my determination to make whether or not he was justified to do so. That's the court of law. The fact of the matter is that he was put in a position to have to do that, right? And what does it all boil down to? And we're just talking about the Minnesota one right now. It all boils down to lawlessness. Why was ICE even there to begin with? I mean, whether you agree or not with federal agents being deployed into these areas, that's not the question here. The question, or the point is that we have increase of lawlessness, and we definitely.
Diane, how many times have I said I've dreamt of mass lawlessness? How many times have I said that to you guys? Probably 10 times. Why don't it go now?
We have a lot of lawlessness going on in Minnesota. That's the birthplace of the Minnesota riots of 2020 and 2021 timeframe. With George Floyd, we know how volatile that area can be. So, and after we get
we get the dog groomer to do that hair trimming.
This information, we know that based on the cell phone footage and some other information that this lady and her, I'm going to do air quotes, wife, because we know that that's not a God ordained marriage, but we know that they were there protesting and that they were, yeah, I believe, yeah, they were not originally from Minnesota.
No,
they were there to support what was going on there, and that's that's fine if that's what they want to do, but you put yourself in a position like this, you have to kind of be prepared for the consequences. And I know that sounds harsh, and I'm not saying that the officer was justified in what he did. I'm not saying that he wasn't justified in what he did either. I'm just saying that the whole situation that led to this was lawlessness, and we know that some of these protesters, they're agitators, they do things, they push buttons, and I can say this. And I'll say this just from my background, being in law enforcement. When there's a split-second decision that needs to be made, it has to be made in a split-second decision, and that's something that's kind of hard to question. There are times when I see things that happen within law enforcement, and I think to myself, he probably could have done this a little bit better than that. But guess what? I wasn't there. I didn't see. I wasn't in his mindset. I didn't know that. I know what happened. I mean, if I have a vehicle coming at me and it's getting ready to hit me, I'm going to do whatever I can to defend myself and defend my comrades. Right? That's really all I can say on that.
Talk about his background. I mean, what happened to him 6 months ago? Remember? He was run over by a car.
Exactly.
So here's a guy that's got PTSD. He just got back into service. He got ran over and was dragged. And so, I mean, think about all that split second, all of that whole reliving that whole experience that he had before, all in a split second.
Yeah, and it's hard for us to, and cell phone footage is hard to really, especially at the angles. When you look at one angle, it looks like maybe nothing happened to him. But then when you look at the angle of him actually videoing what happened, you could hear him get hit. And you could hear him take the brunt of that. And I believe that they said that he dislocated his hip whenever this happened. I mean, it could have certainly ended a lot worse than what it did, for other people that were involved. I mean, if she would have kept driving, maybe she would have hit somebody that was there. I don't know. I mean, that's his job in that situation was to protect himself, protect his fellow officers, and protect the public. Did he do that? Well, nobody else got hurt other than the one person that was behind the wheel. So, that's that one. And then now we have the one over in Portland, just 24 hours later. And it's interesting, how they just kind of happened like this. Now, this one, it was a little bit, we haven't seen a lot more come out on this because it came out that the two individuals that were shot had gang affiliations with the Trinidad Iguaga. I can't speak right now, but the Venezuelan gang, right? And now, same thing with that one. Take a step back, give it a couple of days to process. You'll get more information that comes out because the night that happened, I watched the news pressings by Portland. They had their mayor there. They had all of these different organizations there to speak, and they didn't have all of the information. And even the police chief was there, and he's like, look, we don't have all the information, but I stand with my fellow Latino brothers and sisters, right? And then what did he have to do just a day or two later? He had to backtrack, and he had to, and I believe that he started kind of crying. He did not want to give the press conference saying that these people were affiliated with this gang. I mean, he got up there, started wiping tears. I don't want to say, what I'm about to say, I don't want it to be any kind of negative reflection on my Latino brothers and sisters. This had zero to do with that. This was two gang men, people that were affiliated with gangs. They got caught up in something, and it didn't end well for them. And this all boils down to that right-left paradigm. You got the left; they're going to spout their side. The right's going to spout their side. It's our job to be that middle, to be in the middle, and to have the discernment to figure out.
Bobo, Phil will teach you how to shave your head.
Well, what's going on, and let's be responsible enough to not get out there and start pushing a narrative that we really don't know about. And I know it can be hard for people that love to get on the computer and love to get on social media and give their opinions. It's hard to keep your opinion to yourself sometimes, but definitely when things like this happen, I would err on the side of caution before you start saying anything that's fact.
Yeah, and I think as we look at these things, you mentioned that lawlessness. I mean, Second Timothy 3:13, lawlessness will continue to increase all the way through up into the tribulation. I mean, the Antichrist, one of his titles, is the man of lawlessness, and so what we're seeing are just glimpses of this entire spirit, the spirit of the age, the spirit of the Antichrist. So as we think about 2026, we're only a couple weeks in, and it's not going to be. We're not heading to Mayberry. I mean, we're not heading back to the Andy Griffith show, and everything's wonderful. There's tensions all around the world. There's no doubt that Trump is trying to disrupt the globalist apple cart. He is trying to disrupt China's influence in the Western Hemisphere, certainly Russia, and Europe is failing. Europe is being overrun by immigration. Their future is a disaster. I mean, it really is with radical Islam. I mean, they're canceling their France is canceling.
I reckon Britain's probably got the worst Muslim immigration problem. Only in Britain have they run amok like this over the whole country.
Their Christmas presentations and others. Why? Because of fear. Think about that. It's not as if people can say what they want here, but radical Islam is exactly that. All the immigration to come in, and it's not that every last Muslim is a warmonger. That's not what I'm saying. But what you have is a culture that's enough that have come in and made it so that the governments, these European governments, realize that we cannot provide protection for our own citizens that have been here for generations because of this one particular group.
Maybe we could host a podcast together.
No, Dad, you're so
That's me. Come on, mate.
trip. This playlist is pretty good.
This one is right. You know what a banger is?
What's a banger?
Are you kidding?
Isn't just one burning pit, but an intricate architecture of 9 distinct levels, each designed with divine precision for specific kinds of rebellion. And what if level 7 is so absolutely terrifying, so unthinkable in its eternal horror, that even the fallen angels who defied God tremble at the mere thought of it? You're not
Number 7. God loves the number 7, remember?
reading this by accident. The Holy Spirit has drawn you to this moment because there's something you need to understand about the reality that exists beyond the veil of death. This isn't mythology. This isn't based on Dante's Inferno or medieval imagination. What I'm about to reveal comes directly from the pages of Scripture, from the very words of Jesus Christ himself, and from the warnings the apostles gave to the early church. Here's what you need to understand right now. Before we go any deeper, the Bible uses 9 different terms to describe the places of eternal judgment. 9 distinct words in the original Hebrew and Greek that refer to 9 separate locations in the architecture of the afterlife. Sheol, Hades, Gehenna, Tartarus, the abyss, the lake of fire, outer darkness, the pit, and the second death. Each one reveals a different aspect of God's justice. Each one holds different inhabitants. Each one serves a different purpose in the divine plan of judgment. Most pastors today won't teach you this. Why? Because it's uncomfortable, because it challenges people, because in our modern church culture, we've traded the fear of God for feel-good messages that never mention the consequences of sin. But Jesus spoke about hell more than he spoke about heaven. He warned about it constantly. He described it in vivid, terrifying detail, and he did it because he loves you enough to tell you the truth, even when that truth makes you tremble. The Apostle Paul once reasoned with a Roman governor named Felix about righteousness, self-control, and the coming judgment. The Bible tells us that Felix became frightened and said, "Go away for now. When I find it convenient, I will send for you." Felix heard the truth about judgment, and it terrified him. But instead of responding, instead of repenting, he postponed his decision. He assumed he had more time. History never records that Felix ever called for Paul again. His moment of conviction passed, and he died without Christ, stepping into the very judgment he'd been warned about. When was the last time a sermon made you tremble? When was the last time you heard a message about hell that gripped your heart with holy fear and drove you to your knees in repentance? If it's been too long, then you need what's coming in these next chapters more than you realize. Scripture declares in Hebrews chapter 10, verse 31, "It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God." Not a sad thing, not an unfortunate thing, a fearful thing. The God who is infinite in mercy is also infinite in justice. The same hands that formed you in your mother's womb, the same hands that hold the stars in space, The same hands that were pierced with nails for your salvation are the hands that will judge every soul that rejects his grace. Over the next 7 chapters, we're going to descend through each level of hell Scripture reveals. We're going to examine the biblical evidence in the original languages. We're going to discover who inhabits these places and why they're there. We're going to see how God's justice operates with perfect precision, how every judgment fits every crime with divine exactness. And when we reach level 7, the lake of fire, you're going to understand why the Bible calls it the second death, why it's described as a place prepared for the devil and his angels, and why, tragically, millions of human souls will spend eternity there. But here's what I need you to understand before we take another step.
It's not millions of souls, it's billions of souls.
This isn't about scaring you into heaven. This is about showing you the reality that Jesus died to save you from. This is about helping you understand the weight of sin, the seriousness of rebellion against God, and the desperate urgency of responding to the gospel while you still have breath in your lungs. Jesus himself said in Matthew chapter 10, verse 28, "Do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather, be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell." Think about that. The Son of God, who is love incarnate, who wept over Jerusalem, who died for sinners, looked at his disciples and told them to fear the one who has power over eternal destiny. That's not manipulation. That's a warning from someone who loves you enough to tell you the truth. So as we prepare to descend into these biblical revelations, I want you to ask yourself one question. Am I ready to face what Scripture actually says about judgment? Because once you see it, once you understand the architecture of hell that the Bible describes, you can never unsee it. And that knowledge should drive you either to your knees in repentance, if you've never truly surrendered to Christ, or to the streets in evangelism if you have, because you'll realize that people you love are heading toward these very places right now, and time is running out. The descent begins now, but there's something you need to know about the first level before we enter it. Outer darkness. Jesus spoke about it 3 times in the Gospel of Matthew, always using the exact same phrase. But what makes this level so terrifying isn't just the absence of light. It's the absence of something far more essential.
In the Avengers movies, the second last one, Infinity Wars,
To existence itself.
it had a place called Nowhere, and I was just assuming, because it's got biblical sneaky meanings in it, so I was just assuming.
And when you discover what's truly missing in outer darkness, you'll understand why Jesus said there would be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
I'm assuming that was in regards to hell.
Why the souls there are in such inconsolable agony that their grief and rage echo throughout eternity. Jesus stood on a mountainside teaching his disciples about the kingdom of heaven. And in Matthew chapter 8, he said something that should make every person who hears it stop and examine their soul. He'd just finished marveling at the faith of a Roman.
Bobo, he's running up and down the hallway barking. Now he's in the kitchen barking, I can hear him.
Centurion, a Gentile who understood authority better than the religious leaders of Israel. And then Christ declared, "I tell you, many will come from east and west and recline at table with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven, while the sons of the kingdom will be thrown into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." Let that sink in for a moment. Jesus is saying that people who grew up in religious homes, people who knew the scriptures, people who assumed their heritage guaranteed them a place in heaven, would instead find themselves cast into outer darkness. Not because they were atheists, not because they were openly wicked, but because they...
It's because Jesus didn't know them. Even if they converted to Christianity, You got to try and establish a religion with a relationship with Jesus, which is doable, guys.
At proximity to truth without genuine relationship with God. The Greek phrase Jesus uses is critical here. Outer darkness literally means the extreme darkness, the farthest darkness, the darkness that exists at the absolute edge of God's presence. This isn't the darkness of a cave or a moonless night. This is categorical darkness, the kind that exists when every particle of divine light has been removed. And here's what you need to understand about light in biblical terms. When John writes in 1 John chapter 1 verse 5 that God is light and in him is no darkness at all, he's not just talking about physical illumination. He's talking about everything good that proceeds from God's nature. Light in Scripture represents truth, life, love, joy, peace, hope, and the manifest presence of God himself. So when Jesus describes outer darkness, he's describing a state of existence where all of those things have been completely withdrawn. Imagine living in absolute deprivation of truth. You can't discern reality from deception. You don't know what's real anymore. Imagine existence without a single drop of love, no affection, no kindness, no tender mercies. Imagine eternity without one moment of joy, without 1 second of peace.
No fellowship with your fellow man because they're in torment as well.
Without even the memory of hope. That's outer darkness. And Jesus says the defining characteristic of this place is weeping and gnashing of teeth. The weeping isn't quiet tears of sadness. The Greek word describes uncontrollable, inconsolable grief. The kind of mourning that comes from losing something so precious, so essential to your existence, that the loss crushes your soul. And the gnashing of teeth, that's not pain, that's rage, that's fury, that's the grinding of teeth in absolute frustration and anger at the realization of what you've lost and the knowledge that it can never, ever be recovered. But here's what makes outer darkness particularly terrifying. In Matthew chapter 22, Jesus tells another story about the kingdom. A king throws a wedding feast for his son and sends out invitations. When the guests refuse to come, he opens the feast to everyone, good and bad alike. The wedding hall fills with guests. But then the king notices one man who isn't wearing the wedding garment that was provided. The king asks him, "Friend, how did you get in here without wedding clothes?" And the man is speechless. He has no answer. So the king tells his servants, "Bind him hand and foot and cast him into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." Pay attention to what just happened. This man came to the wedding feast. He heard the invitation. He responded to the call. He entered the banquet hall, but he refused to wear the garment the king provided. He thought his own clothes were good enough. He tried to enter the kingdom on his own terms, clothed in his own righteousness instead of the righteousness that only Christ provides. And his punishment, he's bound hand and foot, unable to move, unable to escape, and then cast into outer darkness. That binding is significant. It suggests permanence. It suggests finality. Once you're bound and thrown into outer darkness, there's no second chance. There's no opportunity to reconsider. The door is shut, the judgment is set, and the separation becomes eternal. Now here's where this gets personal, and I need you to really...
Bobo, this is describing your journey if you don't change to Christ. This is what will happen.
Hear what I'm about to say. The people Jesus describes being cast into outer darkness aren't the obvious sinners. They're not the prostitutes and tax collectors who knew they needed a savior. They're the religious people, the ones who assumed their church attendance, their biblical knowledge, their moral behavior, their family heritage made them right with God. They're the ones who said, "Lord, Lord, didn't we prophesy in your name? Didn't we cast out demons in your name? Didn't we do many mighty works in your name?" And Jesus will declare to them, "I never knew you. Depart from me. Those words should...
Told you, Andrew. Baby's been hanging around Grindr too much.
terrify every person who's ever relied on religion instead of relationship. Every person who's trusted in their own goodness instead of Christ's righteousness.
Actually, I shouldn't do that joke. Sorry, Bobo.
Every person who's played church without truly surrendering their life to Jesus. Because outer darkness is waiting for those who get this wrong. And the tragedy is that many of them will be absolutely shocked when they find themselves there. You might be reading this right now and thinking, but I go to church, I read my Bible, I pray, I'm a good person. And I'm telling you that none of that saves you, not one bit of it. What saves you is genuine faith in Jesus Christ. What saves you is being clothed in his righteousness, not your own. What saves you is having a real relationship with the living God, not just knowledge about him. If you've never truly surrendered your life to Christ, if you're trusting in anything other than his finished work on the cross, you're heading toward outer darkness right now. And I'm begging you to stop and deal with that before it's too late. But outer darkness is only the beginning of hell's architecture. There's a place that goes deeper still, a realm where the dead once gathered before Christ descended there and changed everything. The ancient Hebrews called it Sheol. The Greeks knew it as Hades. And what Jesus revealed about the structure of this place, about the great chasm that divides it, about the conscious torment that happens there right now, is going to transform how you understand what happens the moment after death. There's a conversation recorded in Luke chapter 16 that most preachers skip over because it's too uncomfortable, too specific, too terrifying to preach in modern churches. But Jesus told this story for a reason, and what it reveals about the structure of the afterlife before his resurrection should shake you to your core. This isn't a parable. This is Jesus pulling back the veil and showing us exactly what existed in the realm of the dead and what still exists right now for those who die without Christ. The story begins with two men. One is a rich man who lived in luxury every day, dressed in purple and fine linen, feasting sumptuously. The other is a poor beggar named Lazarus, covered in sores, who would have been glad to eat the crumbs that fell from the rich man's table. Notice that Jesus gives the poor man a name. He never names characters in parables. This is real. This actually happened. These were real people whose eternal destinies Jesus is revealing. Both men die. Lazarus is carried by angels to Abraham's side, to a place of comfort and blessing. But the rich man, the Bible says, finds himself in Hades, in torment. And here's where the architecture of the afterlife becomes visible. The rich man lifts up his eyes and sees Abraham far away, and Lazarus beside him. They can see each other. They can communicate across the distance. But Abraham tells him something absolutely critical. He says, "Between us and you a great chasm has been fixed, in order that those who would pass from here to you may not be able to, and none may cross from there to us." A great chasm, fixed, unbridgeable, permanent. The Greek word for chasm means a yawning gap, an enormous divide. This isn't a little stream you could hop across. This is an infinite separation that cannot be crossed from either side. And it's been fixed by divine decree. God himself established this separation, and what God has fixed cannot be changed by human will or angelic intervention. Now pay attention to what's happening on the torment side of this chasm. The rich man is fully conscious. He's aware of where he is. He remembers his life on earth. He still has his personality, his memories, his ability to think and reason and communicate. But he's in agony. He cries out, "Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus to dip the end of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am in anguish in this flame." In this flame, not flames plural. One flame. Scholars believe this refers to the flame of separation from God's presence, the burning awareness that you've lost everything that made existence bearable and that loss is eternal. The rich man is so desperate that he's begging for just one drop of water on his tongue. Think about that level of thirst, that intensity of need, and Abraham tells him it's impossible. The chasm is fixed. No relief can cross it. No comfort can reach him, ever. But then something even more devastating happens. The rich man realizes his 5 brothers are still alive, still on the same path he traveled, still heading toward this same torment. So he begs Abraham, "Then I beg you, Father, to send Lazarus to my father's house, for I have 5 brothers, so that he may warn them, lest they also come into this place of torment." Even in his own agony, he doesn't want his brothers to join him there. He wants them warned while there's still time. And Abraham's response should make every person reading this stop and tremble. He says, "They have Moses and the prophets. Let them hear them." The rich man protests, "No, Father Abraham, but if someone goes to them from the dead, they will repent." But Abraham delivers the final, devastating truth. If they do not hear Moses and the prophets, neither will they be convinced if someone should rise from the dead. You have the Bible. You have the words of Jesus. You have the testimony of the resurrection. You have Moses and the prophets and the Gospels and the letters of Paul. You have everything you need to have.
Okay, guys, I'll show you something funny. These guys are Australian.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Stop right there. You're going too fast. Slow down.
But I'm not driving.
No. Slow down with the Botox. What the fuck is wrong with you? There you go. $600 fine you may get.
For what? I was riding on the left.
The like is too tight. It's a public hazard, mate.
What? It's for slipstream.
Yeah. They're slipping up your nuts. I can see your knob, you fuck.
They went that way.
Okay, male or female?
Neither. They, them.
What?
That's their pronoun.
Okay, so how many were there?
My God, one, you idiot. They're non-binary.
So does non-binary have a hole or a pole? We just need to clarify.
They who? Who them? Where what? Who's who? Who's who? They, them?
We're having pronoun trouble again.
Everything okay?
Mate, I have reason to suspect you've never taken this thing off-road.
Are you serious?
Step outside, we're going to do a DOS check.
What?
4-wheel drives require DOS the registration, mate. Step back. It's illegal to drive with no intention of using a vehicle for its intended purpose. You're a douche.
Stop. Just stop. This is a cringe-free zone. You are doing 3 times the cringe limit. You are causing death. You are killing innocent people with your shitty dancing. Now fuck off.
Why have you got a camera there, mate?
It's a dash cam.
What are you recording? Our way of life? 822, we've got an Asian male collecting intelligence, possibly for TikTok.
I'm on TikTok.
Remove the camera and hand it to me very slowly.
I was just violently attacked.
By who?
By her. We were just arguing. She used offensive and violent language that violated my rights as an individual.
You're right, love. Keep going. Go. We've zapped 3 of them this morning. They're everywhere today.
All right, I know my ties are a bit bald.
Big bold. They're fucking bolder than your head, you gronk. There's nothing left on either of them.
All right, man, I'm sorry.
No, your head's too shiny. Get out.
What?
You got 28 days to degrease your head, you dog. You're gonna blind someone.
What happened?
He just went mental and started just throwing things at the wall.
Did you do the dishes?
What?
Did you
Okay, guys, I'm out after this.
fold the washing and put them away? When did you last have your period?
What has this got to do with...
Okay. You get a warning this time. But you must clean the dishes to please your husband. Now finish the dishes!
What happened? Ties were bald right up a fine.
I don't know.
Me neither.
Just get ChatGPT to do it then.
What's that?
It's the AI thing.
I-O-U. They who they?
Is it?
Yeah. Illuminati.
Hello, mate. I've pulled you over for driving erratically, okay? No other reason.
I'm sorry, I'm lost.
You're lost. Right. Head straight, then left. Airport's first on your right. The next flight back to Africa is at 5:30 p.m. Quickly, mate, you'll miss.
That's as politically incorrect as you can get, guys.
You're flight.
Pigs. Right here. You're a pig.
Keep walking, mate.
Mate, I don't follow your laws. I'm a sovereign individual.
You are a sovereign whale. You got enough plants on your top to fill up a national park. Don't call me a pig, you fucking pig. The ocean's that way, you whale. Pregnant Bigfoot.
2 for 7 or 1 for 350. Where is the deal?
Where is the deal?
Well, we have deals here all the time.
Other witnesses say they cannot see the deal either.
Okay, look.
Stop! You don't move! You bastard! Here!
Nah, you can't walk around like that, love.
What?
You got no ass. You need some butt fillers, bro. Your asshole has sucked in your butt cheeks. 875, we've got an inverted ass walking around. It's 2 legs and a torso. Were they white?
No.
Were they black?
No, colour doesn't matter, you bigot.
Were they fat?
That's body shaming. Sorry.
What do they look like?
A human. That's who you're getting from me, you pig.
Okay, witness says we're looking for an angry, BO-smelling, pink-haired dog with a nose ring over.
Right, at this stage, I've got you for driving under the influence.
But I didn't drink.
No, mate. That's Chinese radio you're listening to. Driving under foreign influence is a federal offence.
Hey, look at that guy, he's walking too fast.
Hey, don't get pedestrians, bro.
Don't walk that quick, man. Move out of the way. Move out of the way to your left in Australia. AMG dog.
Yeah.
Fucking slow idiot dog. You big petrol dog. You got too much petrol in your tank.
Hey, what are you doing? Put it away.
What?
Put the camel toe away.
This is why I played it, because you guys are joking about camel toes. I'm out, guys.
Have you got a permit for that?
No.
Right, that's it. You're under arrest. All camel toes must be registered with the roads office. That can cause a serious accident.